Master, to whom shall we go? You have the words of eternal life. 10 days ago, we marked the 500th year anniversary of the first baptism that happened in Cebu. First baptism in the Philippines, actually. Now, many have criticized the catechetical process prior to the baptism. Were the natives, in fact, sufficiently prepared to receive this baptism? Records would show that it was Ferdinand Magellan who catechized the natives, not the chaplain of the expedition, who was Pedro de Valderrama. Magellan may have been qualified as a catechist. He was a committed Catholic, a member of some Catholic organizations, but I really wonder why the priest wasn't involved in the catechetical instructions. So, again, there are some valid elements in the criticism. The national artist, Cebuano national artist, Bessel Mujares, remarked that the baptism may have been a seal of the political alliance between Humapon and Magellan. Be that as it may, can I recognize the criticism can be valid. Be that as it may, I also can criticize the critique. I think the criticism presupposes that Christianity is basically an acceptance of a set of doctrines, a set of doctrinal propositions. You have to understand these propositions before you can call yourself a Christian or a Catholic. Now, this gospel reading, I think, would criticize that very point. Simon Peter also did not understand the words of Jesus. It is written here that the disciples left because they could not understand how Jesus could be the bread of life. And so they left. They returned to their old lifestyles. And Peter was asked, and the disciples were asked, "Do you also want to leave?" And it was Simon Peter who answered Jesus, "Master, to whom shall we go? You have the words of eternal life." I don't think Peter understood much better than the disciples. He didn't understand, but he committed himself to the person of Jesus, not to a set of doctrines. Christianity is a relationship with Jesus. Doctrines are important, but much more important would be our commitment to the person of Jesus and the values that he stands for. Then the criticism against the catechetical process would presuppose that Christianity is basically a set of doctrines that have to be understood. Rather, I think it's a commitment to a person. Commitment to the values that this person would advocate. The other disciples may have been more educated than Peter, and they left. Peter said, "Well, to whom shall we go? We have the words of eternal life." Bear in mind that this conversation between Peter and Jesus is placed in the context of the bread of life discourse. Jesus claiming to be the bread of life. This discourse, on the other hand, is placed in the context of the miracle of the multiplication of loaves. Jesus fed a multitude using just 5 loaves of bread and 2 fishes. This is important in this current discussion on this community pantries. Community pantries have grown like mushrooms, most especially in Metro Manila. Probably because people feel being abandoned by the authorities. They're taking care of themselves. Those who have some extra food would donate this to the community pantry, and the organizers would distribute them to those in need. And there are those who criticize this community pantries as communist inspired. Well, in fact, Marx once wrote, "To each according to his ability," or rather, "from each according to his ability, to each according to his needs." But what's wrong with that? I think whatever contributes to human welfare is approved by God. The disciples could not see anything divine in the multiplication of loaves. Jesus is saying here that it's not of God's will, that He did it because He is the bread of life. So, again, whatever contributes to human welfare is part of God's plan. I'd like to present an analogy. If someone you love has a debilitating disease, and this person that you love is cured by a very gifted doctor, do you have to ask whether the doctor is a Jew, a Muslim, or an atheist? You don't have to ask that question. Whoever is the doctor, whatever the doctor did, was in conformity with God's will, because the health of your loved one is paramount in the will of God. God wills everyone to be healed. So there's no sense in asking, what's the religion of the doctor? So also with countries. If it promotes human welfare, then it's the will of God. You should go beyond ideological classifications. Jesus is telling us here that it's God's will that these loaves be multiplied, and the people many could not understand. But Peter said, well, you said it. I don't understand, but you said it. And I'm committing myself to you.